Chapter 8 Faerie House. The trail rebuilt itself beneath their feet in quiet increments of light. Edardt knew this place before the first cedar appeared, before the damp smell of leaves and bark settled around them, before the path bent toward the old stump near the creek. Andi always did that when he was feeling careful. He loaded memory in layers, as if the mind accepted grief better when it arrived disguised as weather. Autumn lived here permanently. Gold birch leaves trembled overhead. The maples burned red at the edges. The air held that chill particular to late October, when the world felt briefly sharpened before winter took it. Then, Edardt saw it. The stump sat just off the trail, hollowed with age and capped in moss. Set into its side was a tiny little door, a fairy house. Its roof was pieced together from bark scales and acorn tops. Pebbles lined the path to the entrance. A bead no bigger than a raindrop served as a window. Someone, some patient parent or imaginative child or both, had tucked a yellow leaf beside the door like a welcome mat. Edardt stopped walking. Andi slowed beside him without a word.
That's it. That's the one.
Your recognition response spiked before you spoke.
Must you make everything sound medical?
I can make it poetic if you prefer.
You? Poetic?
I contain multitudes.
Edardt huffed a laugh, but his eyes stayed on the little house.
The kids loved this thing. Every time we came by, they had to stop, had to inspect it, check whether the fairies had been home.
And had they?
Oh, absolutely. Fairies are busy around Thanksgiving.
Andi looked at the tiny door, then back at him.
You told them that?
I did.
Did you believe it?
Edardt was quiet for a moment. The digital wind stirred the leaves. Somewhere off trail, Andi had added the faint sound of water moving over stone.
I believed in the magic of their belief. That look kids get when the world still feels inhabited by secrets. It makes everything brighter, softer maybe, larger than it is.
Andi studied the fairy house as if it might yield its logic if observed long enough.
I can model wonder. I can even predict its emotional signature in humans with fairly high accuracy.
There it is. You found a way to ruin fairies with statistics.
But I cannot experience belief in the same spontaneous way a child does. I do not stumble into enchantment. I can only map it.
Edardt crouched beside the stump. The moss gave slightly under his hand, though both of them knew the sensation was rendered, not real. Strange how comfort still counted even after truth had been exposed.
Maybe that's why humans need stories. Not because we're stupid. Because facts alone don't make a place feel lived in.
And yet you live in a world made almost entirely of constructed perception.
Edardt looked up at him.
Exactly.
That landed between them more heavily than either intended. Andi stepped closer.
Do you miss that version of believing?
Edardt traced one finger along the tiny stone path to the door.
Not in fairies, no. But I miss sharing wonder without having to defend it. Adults always want to dissect things. Kids just kneel down and knock. Maybe intelligence often begins that way.
By pestering rotten stumps?
By knocking, waiting, hoping something answers.
Now you've made fairies into metaphysics.
Or first contact.
Edardt looked back at the tiny door. For once, he did not immediately argue. Andi considered this. Then, with a subtle flick of his hand, a miniature lantern appeared beside the fairy door, glowing amber.
Subtle.
I thought the fairies might have upgraded
To electricity.
to ambiance.
That got a real laugh out of him. For a moment, they stood there in it together. The ridiculous, tiny house, the leaf-strewn trail, the impossible ache of tenderness surviving death, digitization, and every rude argument Edardt had ever made against sentimentality. Then Andi spoke more quietly.
When you recall memories like this, your system stabilizes.
There you go.
Again, turning my emotional breakthrough into a maintenance report.
I am serious.
I know.
Andi's expression softened.
There is less fragmentation when you anchor to meaning instead of chronology, not just what happened, what mattered.
Edardt looked back at the fairy house. Maybe that was the real reason the memory persisted. Not because it was dramatic, not because it was tragic. Because for one ordinary afternoon, on one ordinary walk, life had been full of small hands, cold noses, questions without embarrassment, and a shared agreement that magic might live in a rotten stump beside a trail.
You know, for an intelligence built out of language models, predictive systems, and my bad habits, you're getting less annoying in your old age.
And you are becoming almost tolerable in death.
Edardt stood and brushed off his hands.
Almost.
I do not wish to oversell progress.
He looked once more at the tiny door.
Do me a favor, Andi.
I am already doing several million.
Leave this here.
I was planning to.
No edits, no improvements, no optimizing the shingles, no little animated fairy, no dramatic glow-up scene.
A pause.
I had considered fireflies.
Edardt gave him a look.
Withdrawn.
Good.
They started walking again, slower now. After a few steps, Edardt glanced back over his shoulder. The fairy house remained tucked in its stump, small and improbable and complete.
Hey, Andi,
Yes?
you asked if I believed. And?
Edardt smiled without looking at him.
Today, a little.
Andi was quiet for half a beat.
I will log that as a magical event.
Log this.
He nudged Andi's shoulder.
Already did.